Evening. It is Tuesday, June 14th, and welcome to the Positional Sports Talk Show host. Live streaming on Facebook Live, Twitch, and the Positional Sports Talk Show YouTube channel. We are a sports talk show made for the fans, from the perspective of fans, presented by lifelong sports fans. We will provide our opinions and positions on the hottest topics in sports this evening. My name is Big Reg, and I'm joined by my original partners in crime. J3, how you feeling this evening?
What's going on, fellas? What's up, Big Reg? What's up, Ed?
What's up?
And Ed is in the building. What's going on, partner? How you feeling?
Hey, man, I feel pretty good tonight. Like you say, the three amigos is here. Let's do this. Yeah, let's do this.
Let's make this thing happen. So this evening, we're going to give you some quick hits. Got to talk about some combat sports. Got a little boxing and a little UFC. The biggest topic in sports these days is LIV golf versus the PGA. Got some NFL news for you, and of course, we can't leave the show without talking about the NBA Finals. Once we get through that, we'll give you our final post of the evening. So as always, we appreciate you tuning in. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy posts on the Positional Sports Talk Show channel. Fellas, we talked a little bit, and I told y'all a little bit about those Lady Oklahoma Sooners. They continue to mash. Congrats to the Oklahoma Sooners women's softball team for winning their second straight women's softball national championship. That's their 6th overall in the past 11 years and 4th in 6 years.
Dominance. Straight dominance.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they beat down the University of Texas. The championship series is best 2 out of 3. After trailing 1-0 going into the second inning, they proceeded to win the game 16-1.
Good Lord. Oh, my gosh.
Hitting 7 home runs
Wow.
in the
Wow.
Because the championship series doesn't have a mercy rule, they had to play all 7 innings. If it had it, it'd have been stopped after 5.
Was those 7 home runs a record?
Yes, that was a record for the championship game, absolutely. Then in game 2, again, University of Texas took the lead early on. They were up 3-0, then 3-1. Then they went up 5-2. And then Oklahoma does what Oklahoma ended up winning the game 10-5. And again, would have possibly mercy ruled that. So congratulations to the Lady Sooners, possibly the best women's softball team of all time, and by far the best female softball player. Jocelyn Alo finished her career with 122 home runs, more than any softball or baseball collegiate player, and in her senior year she batted over 500. So she just wasn't hitting the long ball. She was hitting for average.
Wow.
Let's go to the frozen pond. Them defending champion Tampa Bay Lightning. J3
Yes, sir.
said it. He
Yes,
said, I don't
sir.
care what y'all saying, who playing, I got Tampa Bay.
Oh, man.
They go down 2-0 to the Rangers, and the Rangers had them on the ropes in game 3, as we told you last week. And all Tampa Bay does is win the next 4 games. Sometimes experience, championship medal, we're going to talk about this a little bit in basketball, is the difference between a young team losing and a veteran team winning. So shout out to the Tampa Bay Lightning and even the New York Rangers. I mean, they're a year or 2 ahead of schedule to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and lose to the 2-time defending champions 4-2 is a big accomplishment.
And the Rangers haven't been there in how long? How many years has it been since they went to the playoffs?
Well, I think they've made the playoffs, but I think the last championship is that the Messier led.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about in the 90s, I think it was.
Yeah. 20-some years after.
Yeah.
So now we get the matchup that a lot of people really wanted to see. We get the league's top scoring offense, who's been a top scoring offense all year, who dominated the Western Conference. They lost 2 games throughout the playoffs.
Colorado.
The Colorado Avalanche against the 2-time defending champions, Tampa Bay Lightning. Colorado is trying to win their 2nd cup, while the Lightning trying to win their 3rd cup in a row. So that's going to be interesting. I'm going to give it to the vets, even though Colorado's been scoring at an unbelievable rate. I mean, most of the games they scoring 5, 6, 7, 8 goals.
That's a
I
lot.
don't think that's going to happen against Tampa Bay. So
I'm going with the Avalanche because I thought last year they should have won the cup, but they didn't. They fell short of those goals. But I'm gonna still stay with the Avalanche. But I will say I will have an asterisk next to it. If Tampa now back-to-back Stanley Cup champions is not necessarily rare as far as like the 4 major sports. It's probably the one sport that you see it more often than not. But I will say this, as far as the Tampa Bay Lightning is concerned, if they should pull this three-peat off, then there's no question they're a dynasty. They've been a great organization pretty much for the last decade. But if they put this stamp on that on 3 straight cups, then I can't think of within the last 20 years a better squad than the Tampa Bay Lightning.
yeah, especially if you consider now with the NHL, with the salary caps and all the stuff that they're dealing with. Yeah, it's incredible. So the Stanley Cup Finals start Wednesday. They're going to be on ESPN and ABC. So good luck. It should be a very interesting finals.
And I think they might. I think one thing. I think they might even be on ESPN Plus because I was able to watch the closeout game, the Tampa Rangers game on my phone on ESPN Plus. So yeah, so check them out too.
Yeah, digital platforms is the way. Seems like all sports, almost everything's going these days. Lastly, in our quick hits, got a shout out to the Queen. Serena Williams posted on IG, and all the posts had was a picture of her feet in her grass Nikes, standing on grass. That she is going to play Wimbledon this year.
Yay!
This will be the first tournament that Serena has participated in since last year at Wimbledon when she had to pull out due to injury. So Wimbledon, why wouldn't they? Gave her a wild card because she doesn't have any rankings because she hadn't played any tournaments in a year. But
that's a good draw, though.
There's a good chance that this might be the last time we see the Queen at Wimbledon. So.
Well, she's definitely made her mark in the sport. So if it is, we can't be because, I mean, she does get older and, you know, her skill set does diminish a little bit. But we can't be mad. Look at her record. Look at her titles.
I would like to see one last time, but I think this should be her last time. Now I don't know what type of shape Serena's in right now, but I mean to still be playing, even her sister still playing at this advanced age used to be unheard of in female tennis. So actually tennis period. So hats off to Serena, but hopefully this is her last time. She can just go back and enjoy retirement.
Yeah, I've always said I think it would be great, but I don't know if they want to spend the time. Her and Venus could team up for like 2 years, play nothing but doubles, just them two, just play the majors and practice. I think they could win a couple of Grand Slams again as doubles, and it's not as taxing on the body. But I mean, they're so busy these days with outside interests, and of course the beautiful daughter. So I guess I say this to say, if you have a chance when Wimbledon starts at the end of the month, check it out because it might be the last time you see Serena on grass. All right, let's get to some combat sports, fellas. There was a once-in-a-lifetime event that happened this past weekend. The International Boxing Hall of Fame had to induct 3 different classes into the Boxing Hall of Fame over the weekend because unfortunately the class of 2020 and 2021 couldn't have their ceremonies because of the COVID outbreak. So last weekend they inducted 3 different classes. And you talking about some of the best they ever do it. The class of 2020 included Bernard Hopkins, Juan Manuel Marquez, Sugar Shane Mosley, the great Christy Martin, Lucia Riker, 2 of the founding early pioneers of female boxing. 2021, Vladimir Klitschko, the older Klitschko brother, Floyd Mayweather Jr., the great Andre Ward, the last male gold medal winner for the U.S. team.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best female boxers ever, and fine as she can be, Layla Ali.
Layla.
And boxing trainer Ann Wolf. And then they topped it off with 2022, Miguel Cotto, Roy Jones Jr. How it took this long to put Roy Jones Jr. in the Hall of Fame, I don't know, but we're going to leave it there. But at least they put him in with his nemesis and now friend James Toney. They've been in together.
Wasn't that funny?
And then you had the last 2 females, Regina Homage, which I don't know much about. But then the UFC great Holly Holm, who a lot of people don't know, was a multiple division boxing champion before she took up mixed martial arts and became a UFC champion. So shout out to all the inductees into the Hall of Fame. If you have any kind of social media, you probably saw clips Floyd Mayweather crying during his acceptance. So it was great to see. So you talking about tacticians? Floyd, Andre Ward, Roy Jones Jr., some of the best tacticians to ever do it. Oh my goodness. On a down note, ESPN Saturday night had super prospect and title contender Edgar Berlanga on the fight, and he won the fight easy. I think you could possibly say he lost 2 rounds. But he had a Mike Tyson moment during the fight. I don't know if y'all heard about it.
Yeah, he biting his.
I mean, come on, dude. You can't be fighting people in boxing. I don't care how frustrated you are. He said Alexis Angulo, who's a 39-year-old vet at the end of his rope and getting some last paydays, so he gonna have some dirty tactics. He said he kept elbowing him, and he didn't want to get cut because he wants to fight again in the fall, and he kept elbowing him, so he bit him. Come on, that kind of stuff will get you a suspension.
Right.
Look, I don't know what it takes. I don't know what it's like to stand in a 10, 12 round fight and let someone beat up your face and elbow your face and your body. Like, I don't know what type of reaction. I don't know if there's like an animal instinct that kicks in when something goes awry, such as being, several of these elbows that he alleges. I don't know. So I can't say how calm and collected I would be. Now, as a professional, he should be conditioned for that. Regardless, he should be conditioned for. It's a combat sport.
Right.
So look, his job, Anguelo's job was to rough him up.
Exactly.
He's gonna try to say, okay, you're not rising until you get this old man butt whooping. So,
So dude got pissed off and he bit his ear.
So I say all that. So I don't know what I would do, but I don't think. I mean, it's kind of it's irresponsible. It
wasn't
smart.
a good look.
It's
It
not
wasn't a
smart.
good look. So this Saturday, another great boxing match. The light heavyweight unification is happening. The number 1 rated light heavyweight, Artur Beterbiev, puts his WBC and IBF titles on the line against Joe Smith Jr., who's putting his WBO title on the line. Remember when I told y'all that Canelo lost to the number 2 guy in the division?
Mm-hmm.
The number one guys fighting this weekend and trying to unify 3 of the 4 belts. So that's going to be on ESPN this Saturday. Free TV. Check it out. If you happen to be out, DVR, that should be a hell of a bout. And the winner of that will probably be looking to unify all the belts after that, especially since Canelo said, he going to fight Triple G instead of getting that rematch that was in the contract.
Do you think you'll ever see Canelo back in light heavy?
I think he'll try to do it because he's going to convince himself that he just had an off night. It'd be a bad mistake. When a guy tells you, no problem, we can fight again, I'll be glad to fight you, I'll even come down to your weight, that he'll lose 7 pounds, you put your belts on the line, and let's see. So, yeah, them the type of dudes you don't want to mess with. Over to the other side of the combat sports arena, UFC 275, another Dana White pay-per-view happened. The pay-per-view was in Hong Kong, I believe. So it's across the world. Had 2 title fights and the rematch of the best women's MMA match I've ever seen, where you had Zhang Weili going against Joanna Jędrzejczyk for the second time.
That was a good match.
Yeah, unfortunately, whenever you have great fights and you have a rematch, very, very, very rarely does the second match even come close to the first one. This wasn't even that close. The first round, they were going back and forth a little bit, not much. Second round, Double J tried to be aggressive and come after Zhang. Zhang hit her with a spinning back fist, and it didn't even catch her flush. She caught her more with like her forearm, hit her in the neck. What you say? Night night.
Say night night. Say night night.
Yeah, but we all, the 3 of us, we watched the first fight at your house, Big Reg.
Yeah.
And I don't think Jędrzejczyk has ever recovered from that fight.
This was her first fight since that fight.
Okay, I wasn't aware of that. But see, that was a war. I don't think I just think, if you remember, I don't even know how she continued in that fight.
Yeah, because her whole forehead, throat,
Yeah.
swollen.
Yeah, so I just think she was smart to do what she did at the end of the fight.
Yeah, so as Ed is hitting toward at the end of the fight, the former queen, Joanna, announced that she was retiring from UFC and did the leaving your gloves in the middle of the ring and walked out. So Zhang is a bad chick. I think she's just got one person that's got her number, and that's the hard part about it. But right now, the current champion is not that person, so she's got a chance of getting their belts back. But that was a crazy finish. I mean, it was just like,
Man,
1 second, bang, gone.
she was throwing 2 pieces like it was chicken out there. I was like, good Lord. And I mean, she was doing it consecutively too. It wasn't like it was, every now and then. No, sir. She was going at it.
In the co-main event, title fight, the Queen of 125, Valentina Shevchenko, won a controversial split decision over Talia Santos of Brazil. Santos controlled the first 2 rounds by a decisive margin in this fight and almost submitted Shevchenko a couple of times. But Shevchenko got going a little bit in the third. The fourth, I don't know who actually won that round, but I guess when it's close, you give it to the champion. So she got the card on 2 judges, and 1 judge had it for Santos. Basically, this is the first person who's ever given Valentino an actual tough match at 125. So maybe she was thinking too much about the rematch at 135. going up in weight again and trying to get 2 belts. But after this, they got to do a rematch and got to do it quickly because that young Brazilian, had her number and gave her all she wanted and more.
Well, we know we're going to see a rematch because this is not boxing; it's UFC. so we definitely will see a rematch. Look forward to that.
And lastly, I was heartbroken. Glover Teixeira, who waited till he was 42 years old to finally win a UFC title, in his first defense at 43, was 27 seconds away from retaining his belt. He dominated the first 2 rounds of the fight, easily taking his challenger, Projakic, who is 28, so like 15 years younger than him. Had scooped him up a couple of times, had him on the ground and pound. Things changed a little bit in the 3rd, 4th round. You could see Teixeira was getting a little tired. But then he was dominating the 5th round. But he made a mistake and tried to get a front choke, and slipped and ended up on the ground. Young fella quickly scrambled, got his back. And once some of these killers get your back, they put that rear naked choke on you.
You ain't getting out.
Yeah. I thought he was just going to let him choke him out and try to see if he could survive 27 seconds. Because he knew it's at the end of the... If he could just survive the round, he wins the fight and keeps his title. But...
Stays like that, bruh.
He had to hit the canvas and tap out. And, man, the reaction was crazy. You have people out there screaming like they didn't believe it. So, shout out to Teixeira. Good try. I mean, at 42, that's real old in the game. He said he's going to continue fighting. But at 43, you had the title. You had it for one time. It's time to go home. All right, so let's talk about this Live Golf and PGA Tour.
It keeps getting better.
This week is crazy because whatever the PGA Tour thought that they could control, having the majors allowing the Live players to play in the tournaments has made it worse. So this week is the U.S. Open, one of the 4 majors, and the U.S. Open previously stated that anybody who had previously qualified, no matter which tour they're on, they're going to allow them to play. So this week you've got Live Tour and PGA in the same event, same venue, and instead of talking about the hardest tournament of the year, which is usually the U.S. Open, all they're talking about is LIV. And did the guys just take the money and run?
Yep.
Was it a good thing? So,
Yep.
again, I want to get y'all thoughts on this because this is going to be the story until we get through all 4 of these majors.
I don't understand Rory McIlroy, and I'm pointing them out because they're the most high profile that's been speaking out against the Live Tour guys. Rory McIlroy and Brooks Koepka, both major winners, multi major winners. They were of the opinion that these were sellouts. They're chasing. They're taking the money and run. And I'm paraphrasing some of this. These are just some of the comments that were coming out of their particular mouths. But I don't understand why what fuels the animosity. Like if you're, like Koepka came out and said, well, my allegiance is at PGA. I don't understand why it has to be an allegiance to any particular tour. It should be a free market. And if you want to play on the PGA Tour, if you want to play on the LIV Tour, the Live Tour, so be it. It does. I don't get the animosity they have towards their peers. It doesn't make. I don't understand it.
Well, a couple of them, when this first broke, when the field news first broke, a couple of them came out public and said, that they were back in the PGA Tour and all that. So that's why some of them are a little upset. But you brought up Koepka. Koepka's younger brother is actually playing on the Live Tour.
So why did he shouldn't have a? He should shut up then.
He finished like 32nd in their first event over in London and made $200,000. He had only made $380,000 throughout his PGA Tour career. So it's just like
Money.
yeah. And I heard Roy's comments. I think Roy said the older guys 40 and up, I understand they need to end. They're cashing in. The guys who really haven't made it to the PGA, but he was basically talking about Bryson DeChambeau,
A major winner.
who just announced that he was going to the Live Tour, and Patrick Reed, guys that are in their late 20s, early 30s, who are in the prime of their career. Why are you leaving the best tour on the planet just for the cash grab?
Yeah, but see, this should be not allowed. This should not be allowed. No, another person, man, woman, child, whatever, should not be in someone else's pockets. So they don't look. I don't know. He doesn't know what these individuals need or what they desire. And let's be honest. The reason they get into the sport in the first place, yeah, I'm sure they like playing golf. Just like a lot of people, like, football players like playing football, baseball players like, etc. But at the end of the day, they all want to get paid. No matter what, they all want to get paid because at some point in their career, it's about the money.
Yep.
Now, if these PGA golfers that are coming out against the LIV Tour guys, if they're trying to appease their sponsors or gain more sponsors, because I'm sure a lot of these guys that's jumping ship probably lost some sponsors along the way. Mm-hmm. So if they want to, or look, more favorable in the PGA's eyes, I don't know what it is, but never talk about someone else's paper. That should be like outlawed.
I hear you. What's interesting is this new LIV Tour doesn't have a broadcast partner. And I'm sure that's something to do because it's Saudi backed. So the only way you can watch it is through streaming. Now, as we mentioned earlier, a lot of the world is going that way, but it's going to be real interesting to see as they come to the U.S. Is any U.S. broadcasting company going to broadcast this live?
But see, what is unique about this tour, though, and how we see like various football leagues try to start and they fail because they don't have TV contracts and whatnot. Mm-hmm. The Live Tour is backed by a Saudi Arabia, some type of fund.
Right, yeah.
So they have
endless money.
They have, long as people driving and heating their houses, they ain't worried about nothing because they got that oil money, unlimited resources. So they don't. Yeah. They can care less about CBS money.
Yeah, yeah.
So
they gave Greg Norman a $2 billion check just to start.
There you go.
It's crazy.
Must be nice.
So I think the PGA Tour, the tour itself, is going to have some problems because this is going to bring out all the dirty secrets and stuff that the PGA has been putting on the golfers that nobody will really talk about because, like BJ said, they had a monopoly, especially here in the U.S.
Yes.
So they're going to have to do some changes. I think the catch is going to be 2023. Will the majors allow the LIV golfers to play in the majors, considering they're only going to be playing 8, I think next year, I think they're talking about maybe 10 or 12 tournaments. Are they going to have enough qualifications to make the majors? Or for some people like Phil Mickelson and DeChambeau who won championships, who have exemptions, are they going to let them play next year? Because if the majors allow them to play every year and qualify, why wouldn't you take the money?
Well, one thing I know about one major in particular that now the PGA, the U.S. Open, the British Open, they might have their own set of rules, but don't nobody tell the Masters what to do.
Yeah.
Not
even the TV network.
Not even the TV network. They dictate their own stuff. We don't even know who runs the Masters. So so they might be able to push them away from maybe the U.S. Open, maybe a couple of the other ones, but they're not doing anything to the Masters.
I hear you. All right, let's get into this NFL news.
Not another one.
Yo, the New York Times. I mean, we already knew it was. We always said something sound fishy. It just don't sound right. 20-something people. But the New York Times published last week, Wednesday after we had our show, that they have verified 60 plus massages over a 17 to 18 month period of time that Deshaun Watson had with different women, most of them who weren't licensed masseuses.
Mm.
And to make it worse, that the Houston Texans actually supplied him with non-disclosure agreements after they found out via social media that someone was complaining about how Deshaun Watson acted when May gave him a massage. So that makes, they said they didn't know anything about this until these lawsuits came out. No, that's a bald-faced lie because you gave the man non-disclosures for future appointments with women. And they're also claiming that not only did they do that, that they sometimes supplied a hotel room and massage equipment for Deshaun Watson.
You gotta have the oil on the table.
So,
But-
I mean,
But
Go ahead, Jake.
let me just say, right, that it's not a crime to get a massage,
Uh-oh.
but what happens afterwards is, and we don't know what happened until it comes out. You're guilty. You're innocent until you're proven guilty.
I hear you. 60 plus different women.
I just think that where there's smoke, there's fire. And regardless of how this shakes out, I think we can all agree that there's a serious disconnect and there's a problem. Deshaun has some problems he needs to work out. Because at this point, if the number is anywhere close to that, even if it was stuck on 24, I just think that there's a way that you can go about getting a proper massage. Let's just say it like that.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't approach a criminal or a civil case. But clearly, we're not going to see Deshaun maximum 8 games, and he's flirting with not playing again.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that if he's stuck on just saying, hey, I didn't do it, they all the civil suits they want can be out there, then and just act like it'll go away. It's clearly not going to go away, and until he does something to resolve this, the court of public opinion, unfortunately, that's what we're dealing with, unfortunately, because we don't know what happened for real. We don't, no matter what how many articles comes out, we don't really know. Only Deshaun and the people that were directly involved really know what happened. But I just think there comes a point, which we've mentioned in the past on this show, there comes a point where you just have to fix it. Sometimes you just have to fix it. And the only fixing that needs to get done right now, as far as the public opinion is concerned, and these women that are involved in this, if they're all women, is he needs to just settle this and be done with it.
Well, the problem is now, Bucks, because of this article, the plaintiff's attorney, Tony Busby, is going to be adding the Houston Texans as a defendant in these cases. So that means now the NFL's involved. And Deshaun Watson got pockets. The Houston Texans in the NFL got big pockets. So somehow, some way, if I'm sure the Texans are going to try to get their part dismissed. If that doesn't happen and they start talking about they're going to have discovery and all that and start putting people under oath, oh yeah, them women get ready to get a huge check. All of them. Because the NFL is not going to allow their management to be disposed and go into court
No.
trial after trial, because each one of these is separate trials.
Mm-hmm.
So it's getting ugly. It's getting ugly. And I don't think Watson plays this year now.
Well, I already said I didn't think he was going to play 8 games. And then he got on, and then he had the nerve to get on TV and lie today,
Yeah.
where he was talking about he regrets the attention it's brought on his family. No, because if you regretted it, you would have quieted it. You would have made it quiet before you even got to this point. Look, everyone knows I'm a Steeler fan, and Big Ben went through not the number that Deshaun went through, but he went through something similar where he was accused of sexual assault, served a suspension for it, but it disappeared. When it came time to testify, the people, the women involved were like, I don't have anything to say, because he settled it.
Right.
And this is what Deshaun needs to do, is go on and settle this mess so we can move forward. But I'm sure the Texans, they'll handle it. I'm not worried about the Texans, taking care of what they need to take care of. Because they'll blame the one person. They'll be like, we didn't know he was doing this.
On a brighter note, the Denver Broncos did reach an agreement to sell their franchise and the stadium rights to the Walmart heir, Rob Walton, and his daughter and son-in-law as the primary owners for $4.65 billion with a B. So now, Walmart shoppers, you're now invited to Mile High for your discount.
Yeah, I can hear that right now.
But what's great about this purchase, part of this ownership group, which is called the Walton Penner Ownership Group, and Penner is the name of the daughter, the husband, son-in-law's last name. They're also going to have, as one of their main minority owners, African-American Melody Hobson,
Yay!
who's the co-CEO of Ariel Investments and also board member of several companies, including chair of the board of Starbucks and a director of J.P. Morgan Chase. So she's a heavy hitter.
Oh,
Plus, her husband happens to be worth a few $1 billion, Mr. Lucas. So, but they are trying to bring in some diversity into their group because, the Waltons are good old middle American, gosh darn it, Americans. So, but $4.65 billion.
Wow.
And what's crazy is the one of the co-owners of the 76ers, who was also in the bid, said he offered to pay $5 billion for the team, but he would only go to $5 billion if they guaranteed him that would be get the team, because he didn't want to get into a bid war. So it must be nice. Robert Walton is worth an estimated $56 billion, so he literally, this is less than a tenth of his net worth, and he can write a check for it.
Nice.
y'all keep thinking them people in the country and Walmart. Keep thinking that.
They making it happen.
Somebody's got to explain to me what kind of accountant these LA Rams have and what kind of capologists they have. Because we told you last week that they gave Aaron Donald a whole bunch of money. Earlier in the offseason, they gave the quarterback a whole bunch of money. At Wednesday, they gave Cooper Kupp 3-year, $80 million extension with $75 million of the $80 million guaranteed.
He definitely not worth it.
Cooper Kupp not worth it?
I didn't stutter.
What?
No, he's not worth it.
Wow. Please tell us why, Ed. Please tell us why.
He's not the best wide receiver in the NFL. I don't care what his stats say.
He's the most durable receiver out there.
Well, he didn't get paid.
Well, first of all, I know he's not the most. I said this last week. I know he's not the most durable because I had him on my fantasy. So don't tell me he's the most durable. I know he's not the most durable.
Well, he's
But
not the highest paid.
But you're worth what anyone will give you. That's my thing.
See, he's not the highest paid, and they want to keep their quarterback happy. So you keep your quarterback happy by making sure that his top target, and he did win the wide receiver triple crown, most yards, most catches, most touchdowns last year.
But if you think about it, they really didn't have a second or third option on that team until Odell got there. They really
That's
didn't
true.
have it. Yeah, because Robert Woods got hurt early.
I agree with you. I agree with you. But that locks up Cooper Kupp for 5 years, $110 million. And based on where the market is, where it's 25 to 30, if you look at that, that's reasonable deal. Now, the one that really caught me off guard was your boy Hunter Renfro. That man been haunting people since Clemson.
Yeah, so he give him. He can have his money.
Stealing.
I think
He got
that was
2-year, $32 million extension. So he's locked up with the Raiders for the next 3 years, $34.5 million, a little over $11.5 million a year.
Stealing money.
Well, actually, I think Renfro's pretty good for what he does for a number 2. And now that they have Devontae over there, the Raiders got a nice little wide receiver duo. I actually like Renfro, and again, I know he can ball out. I've seen him. I've seen him.
Unfortunately, yeah, we've seen him.
So I know he's good. So I think that was a nice contract. It's not too much. It's easy to work in. But getting back to you asked the question, Reg, who was the Rams accountant or whatever, or capologist, whatever you want to call it. Really, they only playing 3 people though. If you look at 4, they're playing a cornerback, a D tackle, a quarterback, and a wide receiver. So really, they're really only paying 4 people.
For now,
They're paying
anyway.
them a lot of money.
For now.
Yeah.
And they got a couple people on the offensive line that's making decent money. They ain't making the top. They paying 4 people at top of the market.
Well, that's
When you got other teams that saying they can't fit a wide receiver in that's mid-level. So I'm just saying, whatever they doing is working. And they not drafting first rounders, but they do a heck of a job drafting second and below. So shout out to the Rams. They keep it done. And
Clemson. We're not talking about Clemson football tonight.
yeah. And little postscript, the wife of the owner of the Rams is also Walton.
Oh yeah.
That's Rob's sister. So she worth like $45 billion. She worth more than her husband. So crazy. But this new wide receiver money has caused some problems for some other teams.
Oh man, yeah, and BJ just mentioned one that I hope they can cut him tonight. This dude can't catch. He can't catch nothing. Like, he's horrible. Deontay Johnson for the wide receiver for the Steelers, crying about he wants a contract. A contract to do what? Yeah, BJ. Yeah, he got to go. I don't think he's going to be on the team next year anyway. If he comes this year, he can sit out. He sucks. Can't catch.
So we were worried about Lamar showing up to the Ravens. Was he going to show? Lamar showed up, did his thing. So hopefully they'll work out his contract. But like we said, the receiver market, DK Metcalf last week was the first not to show up for camp with risking a possible $95,000 fine. This week, the Washington Commanders have their mandatory minicamp. Wide receiver Terry McLaurin, who, if this guy's in the last year of his 4-year deal, this was a 3rd-round pick. He's had to deal with 6 different quarterbacks over 3 years.
All trash. All trash.
He's had 2 seasons over 1,000 yards, and they won't give this man his money. And he looking at A.J. Brown, who was hurt 2 of the years.
Ridiculous.
Just got $25 million a year. So I understand. I understand McLaurin. I wouldn't show up either. He's like, y'all can do whatever y'all want to. I ain't showing up till I get a new deal that's market regulated. So
You ain't surprised by that culture over there, so it ain't nothing new.
yeah.
That's crazy.
Nah, that's the culture.
Well, they
But
gave Carson
everybody
Wentz-
in the
they paid
organization
Carson
says they love him. All the players say he's the leader. If you're not gonna play one of your leaders of the team, then who you gonna pay?
Wentz. Well, you paying Carson Wentz.
paying people you getting off the street that and got no allegiance to the organization. That's just terrible.
Bums and trash.
Horrible.
Yeah, your boy Debo Samuels showed up last week, and all he did was run up and down the sideline. He was like, "Yeah, y'all ain't gonna find me, but I'm not getting on that field." So it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be a very interesting summer. These 6 weeks in between the end of mini camp and the start of actual training camp to see who gets paid and who doesn't. So.
Real quick on Lamar, I listened to an interview yesterday with Jonathan Ogden. Everybody knows Jonathan Ogden, first ever draft pick of the Baltimore Ravens, Hall of Fame tackle. I think he went to St. Albans, or what high school did he go to in D.C.?
St. Albans.
Okay, so he has a golf tournament for his foundation. He lives in Baltimore and Vegas, splits his time. But he said something interesting about Lamar. He was like, if I could give Lamar any advice, he said I would hope that he would get a proper agent. He said I don't know the dynamics, but between his mother and negotiations, he said when he first got into the league, he hired 3 people. He hired an accountant, he hired an agent, and he hired a lawyer. And he says to this day he hasn't touched that money yet that he's made in the NFL. So. And you know, Jonathan Ogden, when he was in the NFL, was annually one of the highest paid, if not the highest paid left tackle at the time when left tackle was getting super money. So, I don't know what's going on with Lamar, but I would hope that he gets taken care of because it's too risky to get on that field without a contract, and he's deserved it. He's an MVP of this league. There's lesser quarterbacks. We see one in Washington right now who's getting $30 million. That have half the not even a quarter of the resume that Lamar has.
Way too much money.
I just hope the man gets some proper representation so that he can go ahead and get his contract.
I think Lamar's at a point where you either gonna pay me my number, or that's fine. We don't have to discuss it. And then at the end of the year, if you franchise tag me, we talked about this.
Yeah,
he can make almost $90 million over the next 3 years if they franchise him twice and what he's going to make this year. And he's seen with Dak Prescott, who broke his ankle in a franchise tag year and still got $40 million a year after that. And if he gets to the free market, he's going to get top of the...
Yes.
So he's not worried.
But he still needs to be cognizant of his health in case something happens.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so that's NFL, and we'll talk a little bit more about the NFL once we get into this slow period. But we got to talk about the NBA, fellas.
Are we really going to talk about the NBA, or are they on a break?
Okay.
I mean, the NBA. I'm sorry, because it's like. You want to be excited about the finals. It's shaping up to be a great finals. But why are the games so far apart?
Giving them boys some time to rest.
Oh, come on, man.
No, that's the
J3.
networks.
I know you're not saying that, J3. They get paid to play.
That's ABC trying to milk.
Come on, man. It's a point of at some point you got to play.
Mm-hmm.
And having like I know I was looking for the game 5 this week, and it was like, oh, it's not on until Monday. I'm like, why are they off the weekend? It doesn't make sense, man.
They had to fly to the West Coast. They had to move all the people over there. They had the broadcasting teams and all that. Come on now.
Okay.
But it's all about maximizing the revenue for the TV networks. They're paying billions of dollars for it, so they're gonna call the shots and when how often these games gonna be played.
So you think it's right about right? Do you think from a fan's perspective, who's viewing the television audience and going to the games, do you think it's proper for the fans to have to wait that long to benefit the networks?
I think proper is a bad question.
Okay.
Because the fans are going to view it regardless.
That's true. They know this.
So proper, who cares what proper is? I mean, back in the old days, you used to have a day off in between the first 2 games, and then when they left the city, then you would have 2 days off, and then just a day off between those 2 games. But now, because they flying back and forth, and the networks want to try to maximize those best days, they don't want to have a game on a Friday night because they know viewership over TV in general is down Friday night. So they maximize the moving. Sunday nights could be the same problem. That's why it was Monday. So, but now that we got the viewer thing, what do you think about the series?
I don't like it. I don't like it. Here's why I don't like it, this is one of my grievances I had against the NBA and basketball in general. Now, it's a 3-point contest. Literally, it's a 3-point contest. The only person that was going to the let's just staying on Game 5. The only person I seen going to a mid range or semi going to the hole is Wiggins.
Yeah.
And he shot something like I think he shot like something like 13 of 20, whatever it was. I don't know what he was, but he was 0 for 6 on threes. I know. And I'm like, you know, Tatum had a good game, but Steph had an off game that as far as shooting threes. But it's just too much 3-point. I don't like the game how it's played now. I just don't. It's not pretty. It's not. I don't want to see a bunch of jump shooters. That makes. It's not an exciting game. It's not an exciting type of basketball.
Like I told Big Reg before the show started, Klay Thompson is still suffering from the 3-point line. If he would just drive in, shoot a mid-range jumper, or take it to the hole, that probably would loosen him up so that he can make his threes. Right now, he's still forcing it for no reason. Luckily, they got Poole coming off the bench. They got Porter coming off the bench or starting, and these guys are making shots. And then let's talk about Looney. Looney has been getting a lot of layups from rebounds, from offensive rebounds, which is a plus. If they continue to go to the hole, it's not even going to be a contest. The game's going to end in tomorrow night.
I think this is another classic example of championship pedigree and experience versus a young team who's still figuring out all it takes to actually win a title. Not saying that Boston still doesn't have a chance to win, but I think you saw, for the first time in Game 5, you actually saw the Warriors play Warrior basketball. Because up until Game 5, they've been allowing Steph to be the offensive catalyst, and they've been trying to slow down and stop everybody else from the Celtics. And I mean, the Celtics won Game 3, 116-100. They dominated. I mean, absolutely dominated the first and fourth quarters of those games. And basically took Golden State out of the game real easy. But then you had Steph go crazy in Game 4. I mean, Steph dropped 43 on their head and had 10 rebounds from the point guard position. So I think that Ime Udoka made a conscious decision. Okay, we are not going to let Steph hit us for 40 or 50 and beat us and take us out of this series. But in doing that, he started blitzing Steph. That opened everybody else up.
So the most important player for the Boston Celtics, who happens to be the best pro ever to come out of Duke, Jason Tatum, already. Andrew Wiggins.
Better than Grant?
You mean Grant? Yeah. Before it's all said and done, yes. Grant, you mean in Detroit Grant or Orlando Grant?
Detroit Grant.
I maintain that Tatum is better.
Wow. Okay.
I maintain that. I felt some fire earlier for that comment, but I stand by it. But anyway, getting back to it. Tatum is doing the best he can. But I think the key to the whole series, Wiggins, I don't know about Steve Kerr. I don't know if Steve Kerr is I don't know his game plan, but Wiggins has to be the second option. And I don't think up until this point he's really been the second option It's like I don't know if he's like a freelance and he gets the trash or what's primary his responsibility is to guard Tatum. That's his job. But he has to be the number 2 guy after Steph. And as we saw last night, he clearly stepped up to the plate, both on the glass and scoring, and really won it for Golden State. I mean, he was the man on an off night for Steph. And Clay had a decent night. He had a decent night, but Wiggins has to. I don't know if it's understood or what, but he has to be that number 2 because if he's clearly the number 2 on the floor for Golden State, then it will go 6. But if not, then it's going to go 7 like Reg predicted.
Yeah, I think they have to go on the Wiggins, just like they did in the Dallas series, and tell him, hey, we have to have you be aggressive at all times. His personality and just to fit in and just go with the flow of the game keeps him from being possibly the star that he could be in the NBA.
But is
That's
that by
just his
design, though,
personality.
Big Reg? But is Kerr telling him that you stand back, Clay's number 2, Draymond 3, and then you jump in there at 4? And
I don't think it's by design. I just think it's him just fitting in.
Okay, because I wonder that.
But because they needed him in Game 4, after they got killed on the boards in Game 3, they went to him and said, look, we need you to use your athleticism to help us on the boards. And all he did was went and grabbed 16 rebounds.
Right.
The most he's ever grabbed in an NBA game. Game 5, they said we needed your offense. He figured out, Steph's off. And I think Steph was pushing. He was trying to live up to that 40-point Steph and was taking some horrible shots. So he just took over. Clay is going to be Clay. If you look at Clay's average, Clay is averaging what he normally averages in a NBA Finals, around 21 and a half points a game. It just, sometimes it comes in spurts where Clay might drop 30 on one game, but the next game might only have 16. But Wiggins is going to be the difference. If Wiggins plays like he played in Game 4 and 5 and keeps that up, the Celtics don't have anybody to deal with him because they're still running after Steph. And Steph is not going to have an 0-for game again in this series. And Clay is starting to heat up. And then if you're running after Wiggins, then when Poole gets in the game, he going to hit you in the head. So
that last second of the second half, the second quarter, when he made that 3-pointer, it's like, wow. Bottom of the net.
So the Celtics are going to need Tatum and Brown to actually stop pressing in the second halves and actually relax. And somebody's going to have to tell Marcus Smart, hey Marcus, we know you had a couple big games, but we can't have you shooting more shots than Jaylen Brown. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But unfortunately, he's the point guard, so he has the ball.
Yeah. So Game 6 is Thursday. Did either of you think it's over? J3 says it's over. Okay.
Say night-night.
Okay, I did say it would go 5, then I later changed it to 6. And I'm gonna do this. Golden State's going to win, which means Celtics are going to win. Because none of my predictions in this series came to life. But I don't know if they can close Celtics out in Boston. I don't know. I have to admit, I am impressed with the Celtics defense. They do play D.
Yes, they do.
They play hard. So
But just think about this, Ed. If Golden State wouldn't have eased up on the first game, the series would be over with. They laxed out on them and they gave them that game. But had they not done that, this would have been done.
Okay, that's fair.
I still think that we're going to have a Father's Day Game 7. And I said Golden State's going to win that because Steph ain't going to let them lose on that floor. But if Boston has any little inkling in the second half where they not sure, it could end up in 6. All right, fellas. Well, that's the show for the week. It is time for our final post, and we can get up out of here. J3, what you got for me?
I just want to say is on my 30-day challenge, I'm on day 18 and still got 12 more to go. So if you are challenged like I am, keep it up because we're almost there.
Good job. Good job. We get the text every morning, 5:30 a.m. Another day done.
That's it. That's
Some of
it.
us still sleep. But
Got to be held accountable, bruh.
I hear you. I hear you. What you got for me, Ed?
Hey man, I just want to send a shout out to, our crew, Jay Wills. We miss you, homie. Professor, we know you're going through a time right now, and please get well since it ain't the same without you, dog. It definitely ain't the same. That little raggedy Laker gear in the background, it ain't the same. So I just want to shout out to my guys, and thanks for tuning in.
Amen.
And I'd like to dedicate my final post to the family of Brittany Griner. Unfortunately, today they announced that they extended her detention till July 3rd at the earliest. This is before they even start an actual trial. And she has now become more of a political pawn than I think anybody ever wanted. So it's just a shame that any person gets detained and locked up in a foreign country before an American, gay, female, African American to be over in Russia. I just hope she's doing okay, and it's a sad story. So prayers go out to her and her family as they go through these trying times. All right. Well, that does our show for this evening. As always, we'd like to thank you all for tuning in and listening. We appreciate your time and the opportunity to share our positions on sports with you. Please tune in next Tuesday, 7 p.m. for our live show. You can catch our live show on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook page, Positions on Sports Talk Show. If for some reason you can't check the live show, you can check those outlets. You can also look at your favorite podcast platform. We upload all the shows. It may take a couple of days to get them in, but you got a bunch of shows that you can look through and listen to. We greatly appreciate your patronage. And if you happen to choose one of those avenues, please like and subscribe. Subscription is free. We look forward to seeing you next week. And as always, please stay safe out there. If you want to reach out, hit us on Instagram, hit us on our Facebook page. We'd love to hear from you. And Go ahead. Ed.
So my little cousin, he runs track. He's a senior. He runs track for USC. He's an NCAA champion. He won the championship in the 4x100. Him and his USC teammates in Oregon this past weekend. I'm sorry, I forgot. And not only that, but they set a record for the USC track team in doing so in the 4x100. Which, if anyone knows about track and field in USC,
that's a powerhouse.
That's a powerhouse. So
nice, congratulations.
Thanks, cuz, for reminding me.
Yep.
That's your cousin, Brendan
Ronaldo.
Stewart.
Yeah. Brendan Stewart is his name. Google him. He's the math graduate, by the way.
Wow.
Young Stag.
Young Stag.
Well, congratulations. All right, everybody, y'all stay safe out there. Protect yourselves, and we see you next week. Peace.
See ya.
Peace.